Hello everybody. Today, I'm going to be talking about Superman and Lois episodes 9 and 10. Let's go. So while episodes 7 and 8 focused heavily on the John Henry Irons, Captain Luthor, Steel plotline, these two episodes focus more on the Morgan Edge plotline, what he's doing in Smallville, putting Kryptonian sentience into the people of Smallville, what his overall plan is, why he's doing this, why Smallville in particular. And I think because of that, these two episodes go very well together. But starting out with episode 9, we get a plotline throughout it where, in the previous episode, Superman got exposed to an experimental Kryptonian gas from the Department of Defense, and this causes him to kind of, get a bit sick. His powers get dampened, but it's not that big of a deal. Eventually he gets over it, but it spreads to Jordan, and he gets really sick. He has this ice breath. He's practicing with Sarah for the talent show, which I think last time I said it was a musical. It's a talent show, actually, and he's practicing with her. All of a sudden he gets this ice sneeze thing, and so he has to leave, and Superman ends up taking him to the Fortress of Solitude, ends up having to burn the kryptonite out of him with, lasers and heat vision and stuff, and, it's very painful for him, but they're able to get all of the kryptonite out of him, out of his system. Meanwhile, back home, we kind of have a conflict between Lois Lane and her father, General Lane, because he is responsible for creating the Kryptonian gas that made Superman and Jordan sick, and so she's mad at him. We get a conversation between Jonathan and him about how he did this because he was afraid of Superman. His job is to plan for the worst case scenario, but Jonathan says to him that he was being afraid of his family and he shouldn't do that. He created this thing that caused his family to be hurt, and so while Superman is very powerful and, if he turned bad, that, you would need to have measures in place to go up against him, he's also his son-in-law, and so what he's doing is being afraid of his family, and Jonathan says, that's not, you shouldn't be afraid of your family. Then we get a conversation between Lois and her father, where he says that he's sorry for creating the Kryptonian gas, and also for, not being there when she was growing up, very often putting his job ahead of her, ahead of his family. I think that was good. I like that. That's kind of something that they're exploring throughout this show, is General Lane, kind of giving him a bit of an arc throughout the show so far, of, having him start out very much putting his job first, of like, no, you can't tell Jonathan and Jordan that you're Superman because, that puts them in danger. That's not how we gotta do things, but he doesn't realize you have to tell your family things like that. He was looking at more of like, for national security, they can't know. But for family, they need to know that their father's Superman for everything to work the way it's supposed to. So I like that that's kind of throughout the show there. Exploring that, giving him that kind of arc, where now he's starting to realize that, he shouldn't be so uptight about like, oh, national security, we have to, we can't let anybody know this stuff. It's like, no, you have to be a human being and not just a soldier for the Department of Defense. So again, I like that they have that character arc for him. Then in this episode, we also get Sarah's performance in the talent show. Like I said earlier, Jordan was practicing with her, but he had to leave because, he had the kryptonite sickness, the ice sneezes, so he had to leave. He ended up not being able to be there for her performance, to be able to perform with her, play the piano, because he was, at the Fortress of Solitude getting the kryptonite burned out of him, so he wasn't there. Her father ends up stepping up, playing the guitar for her, like the original plan was, which I like that they got that moment. I think that was a nice moment between the two of them. Like I think I said last time, they're kind of showing, they're giving Kyle a character arc throughout this of like, trying to become a better husband, a better father, and with each episode he's getting one step further to that. And so I like that they're kind of having that kind of, you know, a similar thing with General Lane, you know, where General Lane's also trying to be a better father for Lois and a better father-in-law and grandfather for, you know, for everybody, and not just be, you know, Department of Defense soldier all the time. So kind of both General Lane and Kyle are getting kind of character arcs throughout this where they're, you know, becoming better people. I like that they both have those character arcs throughout this. But then Morgan Edge, he executes his plan, or he starts to execute his plan of activating the Kryptonian sentience that he had put in people. So throughout the past few episodes, Lana, who's been working for Morgan Edge, kind of being Lois's inside person, she's been kind of hiring people for Morgan Edge's program, where basically he takes these people, puts them into the machine, tells them your life is going to be better afterwards. They come out, and to them, nothing's really changed. Their life is better, but, you know, they don't really notice, you know, anything different really about themselves. But meanwhile, what's really happening is Morgan Edge has put Kryptonian sentience into them, lying dormant until he activates them this episode. He activates it for Lana's friend Emily, and she gets up during her daughter's performance and leaves. And so Lana's kind of like, that's kind of weird, and Kyle goes after her. You don't really think anything of it at that moment. Like, for Kyle, you don't really, you know, think anything of it. You're just kind of like, okay, Kyle's just going out trying to see what's happening with Emily. Then we see that the Kryptonians, or the citizens of Smallville with Kryptonian sentience, in them, they end up attacking Lois and Jonathan at the house. We get to see General Lane in action, which is pretty cool. We find out that Jonathan actually kept some of John Henry Iron's weapons, and he's been hiding them in the barn. So they go to the barn, he gets them, they use them to fight off the Kryptonians. Kyle comes in, and, you know, at first you think he's on their side, but then you find out he's a Kryptonian too. He went to Morgan Edge and had the procedure done to him because, you know, his whole thing was Morgan Edge is great, he wants the job, he wants the new opportunity, and so he kind of goes behind Lana's back and talks to Morgan Edge, has the procedure done, gets the Kryptonian sentience put into him, and now he's a Kryptonian. And just as he's about to kill Lois and Jonathan, Superman comes in, you know, pushes him out of the way, drops him in a field somewhere, and everybody realizes that John Henry Irons was right, that Morgan Edge is trying to build a Kryptonian army to take over the world, and that, you know, what happened on his Earth is starting to happen here too. Then we find out why Smallville specifically is important, why, you know, why he came to Smallville, why he's staying in Smallville, whereas other places he didn't stay very long. And it's because when Superman came to Earth, there were meteor showers that were the pieces of Krypton, that's why they have kryptonite on Earth, and X-Kryptonite landed in Smallville. And so, because X-Kryptonite has been in Smallville for so long, all the citizens have been exposed to it for so long, and now they are the only people who can survive the effects of the procedure of getting the Kryptonian sentience put into them, because they have been exposed to X-Kryptonite for pretty much since Superman has been in Smallville, since Superman landed in Smallville. I don't know if, like, that's something that's been explored in the comics or not, but that's a very cool idea of, like, X-Kryptonite was in Smallville, and the people in Smallville, they're special because they've been exposed to X-Kryptonite. I like that they have that explanation for why Morgan Edge is specifically targeting Smallville. But then, just as they're figuring this out, Superman hears Morgan Edge using Lois's pager thing, because earlier the Kryptonians that were attacking took it, so he hears Lois's pager going off. He knows it's Morgan Edge. He goes to, find him, and we get the big reveal that Morgan Edge is a Kryptonian. We see he has powers. Then he calls Superman brother, and the episode ends there. And at first I was like, wait, so are they going to do General Zod now? Because he is Kryptonian, and the only other Kryptonian we've known of before, besides Superman, is General Zod. So is that where they're going? If you watched previous videos of mine, I've, kind of been nervous that that's what was going to happen. Like when at the end of, I think, the third episode, they show people having Superman powers, and I thought at that time that they were going the route of General Zod, and I was happy that they weren't going that route. Now with this, I wasn't going to be mad if they did it. I think this would have been a good way to do it, but we get to episode 10, we find out, no, it's not General Zod, so talk about episode 10 now. Morgan Edge reveals that his name is Tal-Rho, and that he's Superman's half-brother. They have the same mother, but different fathers. And so he was sent to Earth before Superman, and he wasn't accepted as well as Superman was. He was captured, he was experimented on, and so because of that, he doesn't have that connection to Earth, to humans, as Superman does, which I think is very interesting, that kind of like parallel between them. Like, they literally have the same story. They have the same mother. They have, they were both sent to Earth, but they each had very different outcomes. Superman was immediately accepted by the Kents and grew up as their son and explored his powers and, grew up first as a human and then, explored his Kryptonian heritage, whereas Tal-Rho, Morgan Edge, never had that. He came to Earth, immediately attacked, immediately captured, immediately experimented on, so he has this very negative view of humans. So that's why he has this whole plan. He's going to put Kryptonian sentience into the population of Earth and make Earth the new Krypton. And the technology that he's using to do this was created by their mother, and it wasn't meant to be used in this way, but Morgan Edge, of course, again, he doesn't have the view of humans that Superman does, and so he just wants Krypton to live on, and he wants to make Earth the new Krypton, which I think is a very cool idea. I don't know if this is something that's been in the comics or not, but this idea is really cool, of having Superman meet another Kryptonian, his half-brother, that wants to, make Earth the new Krypton. I just think that's a cool concept. That's a cool idea. And so this leads to, since the technology was created by their mother, they need to be able to talk to her to be able to, figure out how to reverse the effects of the consciousness, putting consciousness into human bodies, how to reverse that, how to stop Morgan Edge. And this leads to Lana volunteering to have Superman's mother's consciousness put into her for, temporarily. And this is because she kind of feels responsible for everything, because she's the person who recruited people to, be in Morgan Edge's program, to have the Kryptonian sentience put into them. She didn't know that's what she was doing at the time, but she's the one who recruited them, and she kind of feels responsible for that too. So in her mind, this is how she can make up for that. And I think that's really cool. I think that it was cool to see Superman be able to interact with his mother, because we've seen him be able to interact with his father in everywhere in Superman media. He's always been able to interact with his father, but we've never been able to see him interact with his mother, his Kryptonian mother. And so I think that was really cool. We get some nice mother-son moments with them. We get a nice moment between Superman's mother and Lois. And I think that was really cool to see that, to have her kind of being happy that Superman, he has a family, that he's able to live a good life on Earth, because that's all she ever wanted for him. So I like that I like that they did that here. I thought that was really cool to see. Then our other plotline in this episode, Jonathan tells Sarah that, tells her about her father, that her father got Kryptonian sentience put into him by Morgan Edge. And so, at first, General Lane doesn't want him to do that. He's like, no, she can't know about this. Again, being a soldier, a Department of Defense soldier first, and not being a human being, not being a grandfather, putting that second. And Jonathan talks to him saying basically like, time and time again, you're saying that we need to keep secrets to keep everybody safe, and time again, that proves to be wrong. Time and time again, we keep secrets, and that just makes everything worse. And so, end up telling Sarah about her father. They let her say for herself that her father isn't her father anymore. Her father is, Kryptonian now, and she starts to kind of wonder, like, if he's actually gone, and she kind of starts to think about how, like, the last thing she ever said to him was that he called him a drunk, and that could be the last thing she ever said. And now she realizes that she made a mistake, that he didn't leave the talent show because he was going to go out drinking. He left the talent show because he had his mind taken over, that he had a Kryptonian consciousness take over his body. And so Jordan comforts her, saying that, he's sorry that he wasn't able to be at the performance, but in a way, it's good that he didn't go, because she was able to have that moment with her father. And I like those moments when Jordan gets to be there for Sarah. I think their relationship is really good, so I like seeing any time they're together. Then, going to kind of the end of the episode, Superman is able to reverse the effects of the, Kryptonian consciousness. And Morgan Edge had at this point activated pretty much everybody's Kryptonian consciousness in Smallville, those of whom who had the procedure done. And so he activates them all at once. They're all flying after Superman, which is really cool to see. Superman ends up releasing all of his power to reverse the effects of the Kryptonian consciousness on everybody. This ends up causing an explosion that blows Superman all the way up to the Fortress of Solitude, which they're really getting a lot of mileage out of in the show. Like, pretty much every other episode, they go to the Fortress of Solitude at this point. Like, I don't know. The writers of the show really, really like the Fortress of Solitude for some reason. But it gets blown there, and then we see Morgan Edge and the lady who's working with him, whose name I should know by this point, but he says to her, all is not lost, and I'm not sure what that means, because we see that Superman, reverses the effects of the Kryptonian consciousness on everybody, and that very much seems like everything is lost for Morgan Edge, that for Tal Rho. It seems like he lost there, but he says not all is lost. So, I don't know what that means, but I'm hoping it means that we're still gonna get Superman versus an army of Kryptonians with John Henry Irons as Steel helping him. So as long as we get that, I'm in. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Superman and Lois episodes 9 and 10. I wouldn't be surprised if they take a break from kind of going so heavy on the overarching plotline of the series. They start to kind of do smaller stories, smaller family drama stuff. I think that just seeing the Arrowverse shows I've seen so far, the first 4 seasons of Arrow and the first 2 seasons of Flash. This is kind of usually the point where, once they do this big thing here, they usually bring it down a few levels and don't focus so heavily on the overarching story. I'm sure that's going to be kind of in like the background of the episode, but I think that the next few episodes, like the next 1 or 2 episodes, are going to kind of take a break from it and focus more on just, family drama stuff. So I think that's cool. I'm in for that. As I've said multiple times, I think that they do very good with the family drama sort of stuff on the show. Sometimes I even enjoy that more than the overarching plotline of the show. And so I wouldn't be surprised if next few episodes kind of take down a few notches. But anyway, I really enjoyed these 2 episodes. Please comment below your thoughts on them, and remember to give this video a like, consider subscribing to the channel, and maybe check out some of my other videos. And with that said, that's a wrap.